Welcome back to this week's edition of The Walkthrough, where every single week we check off the most trending topics in your real estate industry. I'm Byron, Lazine, your co-host, along with Eric Simon, the broke agent, who is right in the room next to me here in Naples, Florida. And then we have two of our favorite California friends joining the show. We've got Taya DiCarlo back as, I don't know if it's maybe your fifth or sixth walkthrough. Back on the walkthrough to maybe defend Compass, defend RealDeal. I don't know what side you're going to take on this first topic, but we're definitely getting your POV on that. So Taya, welcome back to the walkthrough. And we have Jason Cassity, San Diego's finest, back on the walkthrough. Got a whole bunch to talk about with Jason. So let's jump right into it, friends, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's
All
do
right.
it. Excited.
We're going to lead off, Taya, with Compass.
You already know I'm having like a wild morning. It's like let's toss the baton.
Taya was like, I cannot make it to this pod. I'm scrambling, and she pulled it all together and did it anyways, because she is one of the best friends and team players you could ever have in real estate. So, all right, Taya, I'm going to go to you first. Compass versus RealDeal. And if you missed it, let's just go through what happened here recently on a Robert Revkin post. This was last week. Robert Revkin made a post onto his personal Instagram. So I don't know if it's at Robert Revkin, but he is verified. He's got the legitimate blue check on IG. And this was his personal account here. You can see the post. And it was actually one of those, what do they call it, Eric? The scroll?
Yeah, carousel.
The carousel post. And so if you actually go, if you're on the BAM article, we'll link it up, of course, as we always do in the show notes. If you're on the article, you'll be able to click on the embedded post here, and you could see the scroll. But the first picture of, I don't know, it was 5 or 6 maybe. I don't know if, Eric, you're looking at it. Maybe you can tell us how many exactly it was.
I'm not looking at it.
You can see that the himself and the mayor of New York City are not wearing a suit jacket, and then you have nothing but suit jackets throughout every single other photo. Again, there's 5 or 6 of them in the carousel. So Rob Revkin, at Rob Revkin, why are the mayor of NYC and I the only people the real deal pictured without a suit jacket? I have a jacket on my company team page, and I'm sure the mayor has plenty of pictures in a suit. Amir Karanji, who is the lead publisher for The Real Deal, which first started focusing on New York City real estate. Now they've kind of focused on major cities and ultimately the whole industry. He's also a professor at Columbia. He bites right back to Revkin's post. He ats him at Rob Revkin. What do you think it means? Illuminati, the Masons. A better question would be, why are you selling at Compass stock right now at its lowest point? Why not buy the stock now? It would be a bargain if you believed in the company. I'm saying at Rob Revkin at Compass because he was adding them in the comments. He actually wanted this to be seen by everybody. He goes on in a follow-up comment, for curious minds, we use this picture of at Rob Revkin more than 8 dozen times before without complaints. And the picture of Mayor Adams is from the actual event we are reporting on, provided by his staff. Happy to post a picture of Robert in a tuxedo if anyone thinks that makes a difference. And Revkin comes back, calls his comments about selling Compass stock a blatant lie. Obviously, as a CEO of Compass, a public traded company, he's got to publicly disclose these sells if he was selling Compass stock. And Amir Karanji comes back in these comments after a whole bunch of like comments from the public, which we won't even get into the majority of those unless we have time. And he apologizes. He says he misread the filing, which, okay, I don't know. So I don't know where you want to take, like, Taya, you take it. Taya is, full disclosure, a Compass agent in Southern California. Taya, what is your take on this?
I'm also a journalism grad. Okay. I have a degree in journalism from the University of Oregon. And one of the basic things that we learned when learning how to, report, publish, publicly share information, he has a responsibility to do his homework, journalism 101, before he goes out there and starts slandering someone. And by slander, I mean basically throwing false accusations at a CEO of a publicly traded company when you are the publisher of a very, dare I say, reputable publication. You shouldn't just be reactive. And I think that maybe his ego got in the way where he just is firing back, and he knows that this heated debate is going to get him clicks and attention, as here we are discussing it right now. So mission accomplished, Amir. I hope you're proud of yourself. But as far as people bashing Compass, I think that, in this industry, it's really funny. Compass has had a target on their back from day one. And I just think that it's very fascinating that people continue, whether things are good or things are seemingly questionable, people have something to say about it. And I just think it's, I'm just going to say it. It's small dick energy. Sorry.
So, I love it when Taya goes there. So the comments, Taya, were mostly supportive of Compass. And so this was a Rob Revkin, the CEO of Compass. It was his post. So it was Revkin that brought the suit jackets to the attention of the industry and everybody on Instagram. Why did he do that?
Well, I mean, come on, we're not idiots. Do you know what I mean? He obviously thought that there was some sort of racial thing going on there, that they were the only two black men in all of the articles there to not be wearing suit jackets. And I want to be respectful and sensitive to that. Obviously, that struck a nerve for Robert, and I can't speak for him, but I will say that obviously none of us are idiots. We know exactly what he was referring to. And Amir coming back and saying that he didn't know what he was talking about, like, please, I think that at this point, Compass has just been prodded and poked so many times that perhaps, Robert putting that out there, he had just had it and wanted to have a discussion about it. Who knows? But I think that, the racial thing is besides the point. Obviously, Robert brought that up. But I think that all these publications, whether it be RealDeal or other brokerages, I mean, it happens to us as Compass agents too. I was holding an open house at a $3 million listing in PV, and a broker, like the managing broker of a competing firm, came in and complimented me on the listing and everything. And then right away he's like, "How about that Compass stock, huh?" I'm like, "Listen, dude, I'm not joining Sotheby's. Okay, it's not going to happen." And I just think it's really funny that people, in order to make themselves feel better, look better, position better, they have to disparage another company. If you have to disparage someone else to make yourself look better, I think that says more about you than it does about the company that you're trying to knock. And even if you're talking about a person, like if I have to disparage another competitor in my market to make myself look good at a listing appointment, I think that says something negative about me. So I'm just fed up with so many people talking shit, throwing stones. It's like, look, I love Compass. I love what it stands for. I love the company culture. I think that on a scale, when we're talking about the economy, I think that there are a lot of companies that have obviously taken a hit in the stock market. And I just think that people are just riding on this train of clickbait. And I'm just so over it.
There's absolutely people that are like rooting for the demise of Compass as things are getting harder for the company. And I would agree with you there. But this particular conversation seemingly was brought on to Compass by the CEO himself. I'll go back to you, Taya, but Jason, your thoughts. Did Revkin stir his own pot here?
Yes, Taya brought it up. I wasn't even going to mention it, but there was huge racial undertones with what he said, I felt. And I thought that was really interesting. And Robert brought that up, and I feel like he overstepped the bounds a little bit there, because if you scroll back a little bit further, there are pictures of Mayor Adams in suits. So I think that Robert maybe overstepped the bounds a little bit and didn't do his due diligence of journalism there. That being said, RealDeal did the same thing by throwing out the thing about Robert selling stock.
That was
and
insane.
that's probably... That's insane to do that. And I don't know if we can count an Instagram comment as journalism, right? But like if you're I don't know if he's the CEO of RealDeal or he's the head
He's
editor
the founder.
or whatever.
He's the founder and lead publisher.
That's a tactical error to put that into your Instagram comments without doing the due diligence. And I don't know if a sorry is, I mean, like that could do damage to a Fortune 500 company to put that out there. So I think that the error was done first by Amir. I think that Robert also overstepped his bounds because there are pictures of Mayor Adams in a suit. And to be honest, like now that being said, now put that aside, RealDeal has it out for Compass. I've been talking about this since 2020 when I worked at Compass. Like it was pretty evident. I actually just put on my Instagram about a month ago before all this happened. I looked at every post from 2022 and there was 7 negative posts and 1, I'm not even gonna call it positive, I'll call it neutral post. This is the number 1 brokerage in the country by sales volume. They're growing rapidly. They have great things to talk about. I'm not saying that RealDeal needs to write puff pieces, but like play both sides of the fence. You can't literally, what I think probably is happening more, because this is all happening in New York, right? I mean, for the most part, this is a New York publication. And I think that the RealDeal has a lot of favorable articles about Douglas Elliman. And I think what's happening there is there's probably a relationship with Douglas Elliman. And so they're putting down Compass to prop up Douglas Elliman more than like maybe a racial undertone. But make no buts about it. I mean, they are throwing hit piece after hit piece at Compass. And so for Robert to finally say something, I applaud him for that because he's a Fortune 500 CEO. He has to defend his company here against basically slander when he's talking about the stock options. That being said, I think that the racial thing was probably an overstep because there are pictures of Mayor Adams in suits. So I don't quite know what he was leaning into there. Then again, I'm a white guy in California. Robert's a black CEO, the first founder on the Fortune 500 company. So like he sees things differently than I do. So I'll respect him for that. But ultimately I think that Amir is the one who has more of a integrity here. He has to actually get that right. He can't make that comment about selling
the SC comment might come back to haunt Amir in this case, but I would say, the leap of insinuation that Revkin made, and none of us can put ourselves in his shoes. So I definitely am not even going to go close to trying to guess, where he was coming from. If there's history between him and Amir, with, some type of a racial situation in the past that nobody's aware of, that certainly could be part of the story that nobody sees. Just looking at it, is it such a reach based off of like, hey, there's these photos and they're using this photo and that photo. There's a relationship. If you go onto Amir's Instagram, there's a relationship between him and the mayor of New York City. They've done what he wrote in the comments. They've done events together. And Amir is, a highly educated person. He's a professor at Columbia. He is a minority himself, right? And so there's I don't even know where to begin with that. I do believe that Robert Revkin wanted to take a shot at the RealDeal because there has been a bunch of missiles fired at Compass from RealDeal, to Jason's point. Taya, is there a better use of time for the Compass CEO? I mean, is he reeling with the momentum of Compass right now?
Well, no. I mean, honestly, I cannot speak for Compass. I cannot speak for Robert. But what I can speak to is that, Robert is such an incredible human being. And I think that he has kept his cool for so long from the inception of this company and always feeling like he has a target on his back. Because Compass has done and continues to do great things as a company. So I don't think he's reeling. In fact, like we're getting ready to have our 10-year anniversary, our Compass retreat in Atlanta, Georgia. We've got Mel Robbins as the speaker. Like those are such great, fun events. And I really am looking forward to it. And I'm proud to be an agent at Compass. And I'm proud of all the things that they have done and continue to do. So reeling, no. I think if anything, we've got a human being here that maybe just was really fed up with feeling like he's got a target on his back. That's, I'm going to give him a pass on that for, maybe instigating that discussion. But what I was fired up about was the comment that Amir put with misinformation. It's one thing to have, I feel like, Robert got his goat, right? He dropped that comment and Amir was probably on his computer or on his phone, just firing back, not even thinking about it. And that's what happened.
Yeah, we could have thought, Byron, if I may, I
ahead,
am right next door, actually.
No, I'd love for you to chime in on this.
Yeah. Two things could be true at once, right? Like the ref can comment about the suit jacket can appear like petty, or could appear that he has been poked and prodded so many times that this was finally the triggering situation where he was like, enough's enough. Like, I have to say something. And that acted as bait for this other guy to respond. And in that response, the retraction of the response 12 hours later or 2 hours later, whatever it was, no one's even really 2 hours later. Okay. No one's even really going to see that. People aren't necessarily going back to the post besides media companies like us to report on a situation like that. It's like when someone tweets out misinformation and then, 10 hours later or something, they tweet like, sorry, like this actually wasn't true. What was said was already said. So people are walking away with that. So bigger mistake by him and a little possible pettiness from Refkin. But yeah, I mean,
Robert
it was
the apology. Robert demanded the apology.
Right.
It wasn't an Amir.
That's right. In the comments,
Robert said, "You owe myself and all the agents at Compass a huge apology."
Robert knows that's the tactical error there, because that could damage the company. Like we're not talking about
far
suit
more
jackets.
sinister
We're talking about
than,
a Fortune
than
500.
depicting someone not in a suit jacket for sure. So
And honestly, what does Amir have? Like, what is he so afraid of? And what are all these other brokerages like? That's actually the bigger question here. It's not about the bringing up the racial comment. It's not about the misinformation. It's what is up with all these brokerages being like, bashing on Compass. I don't get it.
Well, when people see a company making so many,
did not. But I want to be clear for people that are unfamiliar with the story, Taya. This post did not start with. There's definitely past things that have happened with the RealDeal bashing Compass and others bashing Compass. No question about it.
That's what I'm referring to, by the way.
Okay, because this particular, I just want to be clear for everybody listening or watching, and hit the thumbs up for sure if we're bringing this story to you for the first time. This post was instigated by Rob Brevkin.
Totally.
The conversation, and he put RealDeal, in his copy. It started from him, and then there was the reply back.
It was a flare. But my point is that whether it's the RealDeal posting article after article for the past 2 years that are totally negative all the time, as Jason was saying, or agents like me who literally have done nothing wrong and have been poster children for the company, have agents unsolicitedly come to my Brokers Open and start bashing my company to my face. It's like, where do you get off? And what are you so afraid of? So when I said small dick energy, that's what I'm talking about. I'm like, what's everybody? Just do you, boo. Do you.
And Jason, you can relate to that. Not the small dick energy part, but you can relate to, you've been at Compass for years. Obviously you just transitioned, switched, brought your team over to Real, not for any reasons to do with Compass, more to do with your future, but you can relate to what Taya is saying with people coming directly to you and bashing Compass.
Oh, for sure. And I think that, so when I left, I still stand by the fact that I say I left the model, not the brokerage. I think that Compass is the best traditional brokerage model that there is. I left to a cloud-based model. It's just kind of a whole different thing. So I won't get into that. But like when I left, I actually sent an email to Robert and Rory, who's the head of the West Coast. But I was like, Robert, you've done a fantastic job. You've had a target on your back since day one. I think I even mentioned the RealDeal in Inman or something along those lines, where it's like every picture of you is red with fire and like bad facial expressions, whereas all the competitors are like palm trees and green, and it's like it's evident psychologically what they're doing to you, and you've basically stayed above the fray the entire time, and I respect that. And so I can second what Taya said. He's an A+ CEO. I think the jacket thing might have been a tactical error, but I think that he's just fed up. He tours the country. He goes to every market, and he probably hears this from every single agent. Like, hey, what's up with the RealDeal? What's up with this? And he's probably.
I got to imagine he's under a ton of stress right now. There is, 5 years ago, Compass had extreme momentum in a positive direction, and just. This is not a bash at Compass, what I'm about to say. The momentum has not been as good as it has been in the past for the company over, the last 6 to 12 months. And so he probably is, as the CEO of a public traded company, under a lot of pressure, and I don't know what triggered it. But certainly, I think we're all in agreement that the response and the lack of due diligence on the SEC, misreading an SEC filing seems, and I'd love, Amir, if you're listening to this, I'd love to have you on for your side of the story of how you misread that. Love to obviously have Robert Revkin on. I think what he's done in the industry has been a game changer. So, but keep the drama up, boys. Bam loves it. So we'll check that one off, and we'll go on to a little housing inventory update. So Fortune publication says that 57 housing markets saw inventory jump over 200%. So alarm bells start to go off when people see that. Consumers are going to see that. Inventory is up over 200% in 57 housing markets. Taya, when I say that, 57 housing markets, does your mind automatically, as a consumer, potentially go to all housing markets inventory is through the roof, up 200%?
I mean, that's honestly what it insinuates. And I think that people, again, reading clickbait, they immediately go, oh, that's how it must be across the country, when, let's be honest, even within Los Angeles, each micro market is so different. It's not a one size fits all statistic.
Jason, when you hear 57 different housing markets saw inventory jump over 200% and more could be coming, what's going through a consumer's mind when you hear that?
Yeah, I think that's the kind of a headline reader would say, oh, inventory is coming back. That means there's going to be more options. It's going to be more of a buyer's market. And I don't know that that's necessarily what, you know what I mean? And it's kind of tough because for the last 2 years, the inventory has been so historically low. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 1. So if it goes to a 2, you could write the headline that inventory has doubled, but it's still a 2 out of 10. Like, it's still a strong seller's market. So I don't know. I think that might be a bad use of headline writing by whoever wrote that article, because inventory is still extremely low and probably will be for the foreseeable future. As long as rates, stay up, why are people going to move out of their house to move up? Because they have a good situation. They're probably sitting in a house at 3% interest. Why are they going to do that to move up? Unless they have to. I mean, there's still going to be houses, but I think inventory is going to remain low for a little while nationwide when you look at the whole macro of things. So I think people are going to get caught up in the headline on that.
And that's the right question to ask. Well, what was it before? If we're up 200% from absolutely no inventory, are we actually up? Are we in an unhealthy state of inventory? I'd like to go to, and if Bobby, if you could share this, a KCM chart, Keeping Current Matters. You can get these charts down below. Try kcm.com/BAM. This chart, when there's confusion about this headline from Fortune, where inventory in 57 markets is up 200%, this chart tells the story. Week ending of September 2nd, so just a week ago or 2 weeks ago, the same week in 2021. Okay, we're up 26.3% from the same week in 2021. Well, 2021 was the all-time lowest inventory year the nation has ever seen. Most markets, right? Are we all in agreement? Most markets were under 1 month of inventory. Mm-hmm. It was insane. And oh, by the way, 2020, we have less inventory than the same week, September of 2020. Let's think about September 2020 for a second. Everybody was scrambling all late spring and summer in 2020 because we had this thing called COVID-19 pandemic, and they were scrambling to find real estate. They were bidding on homes left and right. And right now, today, we have less inventory than September across the nation of 2020.
It's wild.
That's shocking to me.
Yeah.
And then if we look at 2019, the same week of 2019, which was a more normal market than anything we just talked about, 2020, 2021. Oh, by the way, right now we have 42% less inventory this week than we did in 2019. So we are still at a historic low for inventory. This is the story that I'm telling when I see this headline in my local market, especially when I'm going out and grabbing a listing. I want to show them this chart. I want to talk them through what actually is happening right now as it relates to inventory. When you're a seller, you want to capitalize on low inventory. Now that blue bar to the left tells us that it's trending up. Don't wait to list your home until it's very high, which we could see some higher marks potentially in 2023. But that's not the story right now. KCM can help you tell that story with this content. It can be branded to you. I would encourage everybody to go check out the link below, trykcm.com/BAM, so that you can take this data, use it on your listing appointments. And I would definitely switch the narrative up from all these headlines. The headlines are coming fast and furious right now because people are looking for something to write about, and real estate is the punching bag right now.
Totally. I mean, people too, like the inventory situation, houses are sitting on the market longer, right? Because the other side of the supply and demand spectrum is the buyer demand is down because interest rates doubled. And so as long as there used to be 30 buyers for 3 houses, and now there's 5 buyers for 5 houses. So like the inventory is going up because it's staying on the market longer. So I don't know if it necessarily means that we're still severely under inventoried. I think the buyer demand has just come down a lot, which is causing longer market time.
I agree. Taya, any final thoughts there?
I mean, I think that the interesting conversation I'm having with my seller clients is that you just need to be patient. You need to adjust your mindset. We're not going to get offers the first weekend. We have buyers circling like vultures, and then ultimately 2-3 weeks into it, we end up getting full price. So that's been a really interesting thing to monitor. It's like, okay, whereas before, if we were on the market for 2 weeks, that would warrant a price reduction. Now I'm like, no, let's just chill. Let's just sit back. Like, we're going to host multiple open houses. We're going to do a lot of marketing. We're going to continue this and then be patient. After 30 days, okay, now the market has spoken. But that's been the biggest difference I've seen with my seller clients.
Love it. All right, we'll check that one off, and we'll go to Brad Lee, who, if you don't know who Brad Lee is, he's definitely blown up on TikTok. I think he's got 1.5 million on TikTok. What's the company he started, Eric? I always forget the name.
Lightspeed TV, I think. They basically host people that want to create courses.
So it's like a teachable.
They have like the infrastructure, exactly like a teachable.
Yeah. So Brad Lee has a message for all real estate agents. Bobby, can you play the message for us?
I don't know why people in real estate don't just stop. Like, I'm serious. Because number one, you get rich by owning it, not by selling it. Most realtors are not rich. Most of them. The financial services industry that we're talking about has made more millionaires than any other industry on earth. So like, you have a better chance of being a millionaire doing this than anything else, and you're over here messing around with real estate. My dumb was over here messing with the car business, RVs, this, that, and the other thing. Dude, if I'd have known about this 20, 30 years ago, I'd already be freaking huge.
It'd be obnoxious.
Real estate agents. Guys, you got your license, good, keep it. It's an asset. Now go get your insurance license and let's make some real money so you can buy and own real estate and get rich like you're supposed to in real estate. The more you make, the better off you are, because you can make bigger impact with people. Amen. You can have better health care for your family. You can have better educations. You have better Christmases, better holidays. Money is not a bad thing, and I can show people how to make a whole bunch of.
All right, so if you're watching on YouTube, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, just obliterate the thumbs up button. You see that? You see that his headline on that Instagram or that TikTok is "not sorry." So he means what he says here, Bradley. Eric, you sent me this. What is so interesting when I actually watched it was the guy he's talking to, Sean Mike, who started Family First, this insurance company. They sell whole life insurance and these types of products. I have actually done some real estate deals with Sean Mike. He was in Connecticut. He's not in Connecticut now. He's in Florida. And to Brad Lee's point, because he's talking to the CEO of Family First, this guy, Sean Mike, was living in maybe a $350,000 house about 9 or 10 years ago when I met him. And within 5 years, he was just buying and selling real estate. He'd move up to a $750,000 house. He'd buy multiple properties. Then it was $1 million homes. Then it was a multi-million-dollar. Like, his business exploded. And so that's I didn't watch the full pod there, but it was just interesting that I knew the guy he was talking to a little bit because I've done some transactions with him. And I know what he's talking about, how quickly people can grow in that insurance environment. I don't know, though. You can grow pretty quickly in real estate, too. So, Jason, what are your thoughts here?
So it's funny thing is, like, those guys always kind of, I don't know. I don't like they've got kind of just the gruff, abrupt, kind of straight to it, but they do really well on like TikTok and Instagram because it's like very straight and to the point. But in that particular message wasn't totally wrong. You know what I think? Like real estate agents specifically, you can make good money in this business, but doing the actual business, you're building yourself a job, right? You have to go do open houses and you have to go do things. And what he's kind of talking about there is like, that's fine. But if you want to make real wealth, real generation, you have to buy the house. You can't just sell the house, right? And so like you have to buy a house and then buy more, build yourself up through real estate. So I get kind of what he's saying. And I don't think, I mean, all of it, we own houses, right? So we know, but there are a lot of real estate agents who don't own your house, which by the way, I do not think you need to own a house, but you know, to be able to effectively market or show properties. But at the same time, at a certain point, if you're trying to build generational wealth, you don't necessarily do it just by holding open houses and being an agent. You do it by advancing to the next level and buying the real estate. That I
don't want to go down this path. I think maybe Jason, you and I could even maybe do a BAM debate on it or a whole nother conversation. Do you think every agent should have a goal of home ownership if they haven't been a homeowner within the first 2 years of being in business?
Goal, yes. I don't think they have to be, you know, you see that question, did you have to be own your house to be a real estate agent? I don't think that that's the case, but I think that it should be in their freaking goal.
I mean, should it be almost like I'm committed to doing this?
Kind of.
I want to dig into that at another time. In the comments, if you want Jason and I to dig into that further, like I believe you've got to go through home ownership. I mean, moving sucks, and if you haven't moved, you know, and gone through the whole, you know, we'll get into it to another time. But Bradley, Taya, your takeaway.
I think that the knee-jerk response as a realtor was like, "Hey, stop talking shit." But he's not totally wrong. What he's referring to is, as an insurance agent, you're making residual income. And I think what he's trying to point out is that that's the name of the game if you want to build wealth, is through residual income. Whereas realtors, it's a one and done thing, right? Like every transaction you have, you're not guaranteed to make money on that next one. And so I think that the way he did it, he's masterful at the hook and getting people in. He has a way of, and again, I do this as well with my content. I'm not going to be wishy-washy about my opinions. I'm either like really strongly agree or really strongly disagree. And so I have mad respect for that. But I do think that he's not totally wrong.
Yeah. His overall point of buying real estate, getting on the 94% side of the transaction is something I'm continuously talking about. Owning real estate. If you're in this, if this is your career, if you're all in on real estate, go buy some deals. You see deals more than anybody. I know so many 30-year real estate agent veterans that the amount of deals that they've accumulated because they see them first, because they know the market better than anybody. When they see a deal, it's like, I know it's a deal because I study this thing every single day. I'm going to go buy it. Why the heck am I going to go list it and fight for 2.5 or 3? Where I don't agree with Brad is the fact that you can't do that from a real estate agent side. You can only do it from insurance. You can't do it from car sales. I think you could do it from car sales, by the way. If you're the best car saleswoman on the planet, why couldn't you take that money and invest in real estate? Why can't you do it as being one of the best agents? I mean, we know some wealthy agents, do we not, right? And how about, by the way, you can also do it in insurance. Insurance business is tough too. It's not like this just home run easy thing where that annuity starts kicking in. Oftentimes when people start an insurance company, I know a bunch of brokers that have done it, they lose money in the first 2 or 3 years. It's a very non-profitable business in the beginning.
Yeah.
I get it. He's talking to somebody who's doing whole life, which is a little bit of a different
this guy is just
generation deal. Go ahead.
He's the hook master, verbally and caption wise. Sorry, not sorry at the top is such a good aesthetic hook as well. Agents should go to Bradley's page and just look at his content to see how can I capture people in, because his thumbnails and his verbal and written hooks are probably the best in the game. The guy smokes a lot of cigars. He probably, like hates his wife or something like that. I feel like that's what guys with cigars.
No, he loves his wife. He has videos about that.
He talks about it all the time. They call him the opposite of Andrew Tate. That's what they're calling him online. He seems like the polar opposite.
He's like a Grant Cardone light type of guy, it seems like.
There you
Grant
go. There you
Cardone.
go.
That is not the soundbite,
Yeah.
right?
I didn't mean to hate your wife type of thing. I just mean like when you always have to have a cigar in your mouth, it's just like you're trying to portray so much masculinity. It's just like, give me a break. You always have to have that in your mouth.
Grant Cardone light. Grant Cardone light is what he said.
I love smoking cigars.
Yeah, I know,
I'm craving one right now. Just the thought of bringing up a good stick. So, Jason, I know you've got to go. You've got a refer call that, by the way, if you don't know about refer, check it out. It's blowing up. You're doing a call with Jeremy.
We can be a tad late. I text you.
Let's be a couple minutes late if we can, because we do want your big takeaway. You just had a video marketing summit at STÜDIO in San Diego, which you launched, and you had Taya and Eric come down and speak at the summit. What was your biggest takeaway from the video marketing summit?
Oh man! So first and foremost, thanks to Taya and Eric and all the speakers, Gabe, Josette, and Connor Murnane, who came down and spoke for us. So STÜDIO is a video marketing company that I started here in San Diego, and we put on basically an event for about 100 and just over 100 people, and we just provided value, which was the best part. And so everybody got up and talked for 20 or 30 minutes. And some of the biggest key takeaways, I tried to get tactical with it a little bit. I was like, as opposed to just like be consistent, it was more like, Taya, how much are you spending on each video, right? How much do you batch? How much, and so the biggest key takeaway I think that I took was that batching content is the best thing you can do. Bring a couple different outfits, shoot 4 to 6 to 8 at a time. It keeps the video costs down a little bit, and it keeps you with a bank of content. And then secondarily, I think it was Eric that mentioned it, or maybe Connor, that retention rate is now the number one thing on social media videos, and more than likes, comments, shares, favorites, all that stuff. It's video watch time and retention rate. So keeping the videos a little bit shorter is going to be helpful, because if you can get someone to watch it 2 or 3 times, or at least 80 to 90% of the whole video, then it's going to actually get shown to more people organically than just having a lot of likes.
I think state of mind, when you look good, you feel good, you end up playing good. So when you're in that state of mind of looking good and feeling good, everybody has those days where everything's just locking into place and you're zipping around. That's a day you want to batch record, right? Like Eric's having that day today.
I'm having a horrible day today. My hair looks like a bird's nest. I'm sweating my ass off. I could hear you yelling in the other room. I've said nothing on this.
Eric has batch recorded multiple videos today.
10
Eric,
Marketing Monday videos.
Does it give you more energy? Do you feel good about yourself when you do that?
I feel very productive. I flew all the way from Los Angeles. It was a 10-hour travel day for me yesterday. Bulk recorded 10 Marketing Monday videos on Instagram. So I feel extremely productive. Glad I did it. Go check those out every Monday.
Yeah, don't waste the good juice and the good energy on one video. Get a whole bunch done. Taya, you were there. You spoke. What was your big takeaway?
Honestly, it was such a beautiful event, well-oiled machine. He had everything really was done to perfection, in my opinion. I felt like it was such an intimate audience. I felt like afterwards we had an opportunity to network and chat with people, and it just was a really comfortable setup. And I hope you do it again, Jason. It was great.
Yeah, you're a great moderator too. The questions you were asking are unlike any other moderator I've had, where it was super tactical. It wasn't just, hey, how'd you start the broke agent? How are you being like funny on Instagram? It was really just like, how do you keep watching reels? Like, what reels engagement tactics are you doing? Like getting into the real nitty gritty of the actual content. And I mean, people flew down from Vegas for this thing. Like it was, it really drove.
She drove.
Yeah.
She drove from Vegas. That was wild. We had a couple people from Orange County, a couple people from LA. Yeah, it was a really good turnout. You have first and foremost, or not first and foremost, I already said that. Taya is a real estate celebrity now. I don't know if you caught that, Eric. Eric, you've probably been used to this for a while, but like Taya got so many like selfie requests. And there was
Taya's
like
a complete star. Taya, also, I've seen you speak before, but you're such a good public speaker. The way you look at the audience and the way she's
fantastic.
Yeah, you're humble and it's still relatable watching you. It's not like you're just watching someone with this unattainable like growth and charisma, because you do, have some self-deprecation in there, and you do talk about like what videos perform the best, which you always say are the ones where you're not like made up and it's just kind of like raw emotional stuff. So you were really fun to watch.
Yeah. In the comments, are you seeking some education on how to do batch recording? I'd love to know if you're seeking some education on that. And if you're doing batch recording, drop in your biggest tip on what's working for you. Love to know your thoughts on everything we discussed. I mean, the whole Compass RealDeal. If you got thoughts on that, love to know. Love for you to consider subscribing to the BAM YouTube channel. Even if you're listening right now in audio, switch over to the BAM YouTube. We got some really cool stuff coming up. So consider subscribing to that. We appreciate your subs, and you never want to miss this show, the walkthrough. This show keeps getting better every single week. It's because of our great moderators like Jason and Taya. And of course, Eric helping out the show with all of his crazy thoughts and analysis.
Yeah, let me retract the Bradley hating his wife thing. I just meant guys with cigars give off this feeling of like, hey, I'm a super masculine guy. I'm sure you
don't worry. When we do my pod, Eric, I'll be like the antithesis. I'll be like the ultra feminine version of Bradley. I'll be like,
oh, that's great.
I may not have a cigar. I'll just be like the ultimate like female version of him.
Yeah, I love that.
Susan,
that's perfect.
Eric, Simon, and Andrew Tate are synonymous. They are. They are.
Susan, you mean the head of YouTube? Is that you're calling for my cancellation right now?
But do not give him just a one pass for that comment he made.
Yeah, Brad, don't hunt me down because I'm sure you're capable.
Yeah, Brad may find you.
I'm sure he will.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
everybody. We'll see you next week on the walkthrough.